So welcome to Morning Sit with Rev Melissa. And you'll know what SIP stands for. Spirit and Practice. Spirit and Practice. So I'm doing a little better today. Every day, this whole situation over here is getting better and better. You know, as I attend to it the way that it needs to be attended to. And I shared yesterday that, you know, I set the intentions for what the series is going to be focused on. And I usually get a download from the heavens. And yesterday, seemingly, my download didn't happen. But then I said, maybe it did happen. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to be talking about this week. Maybe there is a word for someone that needs to hear about pain, you know? Because I set my intention last night. I said, okay, Lord, what is the series for this week? And I woke up and it was crickets. It was crickets like yesterday. So I said, okay, so let me do what is before me. That's what came up in my inspirational journaling today. You know, sometimes we try to force things to happen when what we really need to do is just address and take what is right in front of us. We go looking all over the place for a sign, right? When the sign is right there. So this is my sign. This is my sign. So a spiritual practice about pain is where we are right now until I get other information. This is where we are. Yes, this is where we are. So I shared yesterday a story from the Book of Awakenings by Mark Nepo. And I hope that the takeaway around being a lake, to stop being a glass. He used the analogy of the story about putting salt in water and the student tasting it and saying that it tasted bitter. And then the master told the student to put the salt in the lake and drink the lake. And then the master asked the student, how does it taste? And the student could not taste the salt, right? So that's similar to pain and what we focus on, you know? So if what we and this is anything, it doesn't even have to be pain, it could be anything. Whatever you focus on is what's gonna grow. Whatever you focus on, whatever you give your attention to will grow. And so what we need to do is expand our perspective to look at the horizon, right? To look at the horizon. So I love that story. And the other piece that I shared yesterday was about misery, right? Because sometimes when you're in pain, you could feel miserable, like you're in misery, yes? And so misery is a moment of suffering allowed to become everything. Misery is a moment of suffering allowed to become everything, right? And can't we relate to that? Something happens and it's as if nothing good ever happened in your life. It was just this one thing that went wrong is now coloring your whole day. Yes? Okay. So we must look wider than what hurts. We must look wider than what hurts. So I'm applying that figuratively and literally, right? As I deal with this infection. Okay. So as I was doing my spiritual practice this morning, I remembered being at Sacred Center. Sacred Center was a wonderful spiritual center. My phone just rang. Don't they know I'm doing Morning Sit with Rev Melissa? So Sacred Center was a wonderful spiritual center. It was a church. And the spiritual director often said when you were in pain, to give the pain a voice, that everything that happens is a conversation with you. So if something's happening in your life, dialogue with it, because there's information there. So that came to mind this morning, right? That pain can contain information. That pain may have a message for us, right? It could indicate that there's something that we need to pay attention to. There's something we need to pay attention to, right? That something was bubbling and we were ignoring it. Or we knew that we needed to do something, but we didn't, right? We were stalling, we were procrastinating, right? Until it got to the point where it would not be ignored any longer. It made itself known through pain. And that could be emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain, psychological pain, right? So I'm sure each one of us could think of an example where we knew we needed to address something, and instead we chose not to, until it just bubbled up and would not be ignored. So I want to read something from the Book of Awakening. This is the book that I read for my inspirational reading when I do my morning practice, the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. It's the book that I read from yesterday and a couple of other times. I really enjoyed this book. And so the author, Mark Nepo, battled cancer a number of years ago. And so a lot of his writings include his experience of battling cancer. And so he's a cancer survivor. So I'm reading the one from June 9th, and it says, "These are the signs." And he has an opening quote. "Pain is often a sign that something has to change. Pain is often a sign that something has to change. Our hearts and bodies often give us messages we fail to pay attention to. Ironically, we are all so aware of pain. Can hardly ignore it, but we rarely hear what it has to say. It is true that we may need to withstand great pain, great heartache, great disappointment and loss in order to unfold into the rest of our lives. But our pain may also be showing us exactly what we need to change. Exactly what we need to change. If we view our bodies as bridges that carry us from our inner life to the outer world, then pain often gives us insight as to where the bridge is experiencing the most stress. Pain lets us know where we might crack, where our lives need to be reinforced and rested in order for us to keep bringing our inner and outer lives together. During my struggle with cancer, I experienced a variety of deep and acute pains. I learned how to hold on and let go, learned how to endure, that is, let the pain go through without denying it hurts. But the most crucial thing I learned was to listen to pain. I was being worn down by my chemo treatments, which were very aggressive. I was trying the best I knew how to live through as many treatments as I could manage. Everyone was coaching me to stick with it. But after 4 months, I lost feeling in my finger and toes. The chemo was causing nerve damage, and I had lost my reflexes. I struggled, unsure whether or not to continue. I felt that the cancer was gone, but the chemo was insurance. Endure more. If you can, hold on. Within 24 hours, I was up in the night with the worst stomach attack I have ever experienced. There I was, pacing the living room floor at 3 in the morning, trying to endure the pain, asking God for a sign. Now, how many of us can relate to that? Asking God for a sign. Yes? I doubled over. God, give me a sign. What should I do? I want to live. Another attack. This happened 3 more times when I suddenly realized the pain was the sign, and its message was to stop. It was over. The next day, I told my sweet doctor that I would not take that needle to my arm again, and it was over. So pain can serve us. It can. It's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. And we have to pay attention to it because it's trying to get our attention. So there's an invitation. If you are feeling any kind of pain, emotional, spiritual, physical, have a conversation with that pain. See what it is that it has to tell you. It has information for you. Yes? Maybe there's a conversation that you've been avoiding having because you're afraid that it's a painful conversation. That's what came up for me today. That I've been avoiding having a conversation with a dear loved one. And I need to have that conversation. I need to have that conversation. So whatever it is for you, it may be not now, maybe later on. Remember this. Remember this. Sit down and have the conversation. Give your pain a voice. Give your pain a voice. See what it has to say because it's trying to get your attention. It's getting your attention. So this has been a gift for me. Yes, it's been painful. Yes, it has. But I know that all things work together for my good. Everything. Even this. So excluding nothing, I exclude nothing that happens, knowing that it's for my highest good. And knowing that there is a blessing there for me to see. And there's a blessing there for you to see. Whatever it is that you might be going through, whatever challenge you might be facing, whatever aches and pains you may have in your heart or in your mind, it's time to give it a voice, to release it, to heal it, to let it go, to say thank you for serving me. Okay? So that is today. That is today, y'all. We'll see what happens tomorrow.